20 forgotten vegetables grow themselves without your help. They germinate quickly, tolerate terrible soil, survive drought and neglect, then self-seed to return next year. Most gardeners pull these plants and toss them in the compost, throwing away free food that requires zero maintenance. I'm Frank Miller with Heritage Garden Wisdom, and the vegetables I'm revealing today were sidelined by industrial agriculture specifically because they're too independent, too vigorous, and too easy to grow for free. These aren't delicate hybrid varieties requiring perfect conditions. These are disturbance-adapted plants that thrive where conventional vegetables fail. They don't need fertilizer, constant watering, or careful attention. They just grow, produce abundantly, and self-seed for next season. Subscribe to Heritage Garden Wisdom right now if you want to know which weeds in your garden are actually productive vegetables you've been throwing away. We expose the food plants dismissed as worthless that outperform expensive hybrid seeds. Hit that like button and drop a comment telling me which of these forgotten vegetables you've accidentally pulled out thinking they were weeds. By the end of this breakdown, you'll understand exactly which 20 plants grow themselves, why they were deliberately forgotten, and how to harvest them instead of fighting them. The pattern underlying all 20 of these vegetables reveals why they're perfect for low-maintenance food production. These vegetables thrive because they're adapted to disturbance in nature. Disturbed soil, areas where ground has been dug, tilled, or cleared, gets colonized by fast-growing, opportunistic plants. These are the plants we call weeds, but many of them are also edible, nutritious, and incredibly productive. Human agriculture creates constant disturbance through tilling, digging, and planting. These forgotten vegetables evolved to take advantage of that disturbance. They germinate quickly, grow rapidly, produce abundantly, and self-seed before conditions change. That's why they're perfect for gardeners who want food without constant effort. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need constant care. You just need to stop pulling them out and start harvesting them. Plant number 1, purslane. This succulent ground cover produces more omega-3 fatty acids than most fish, more protein than many greens, and thrives in hot, dry conditions where lettuce dies. Purslane has thick, fleshy leaves and reddish stems spreading along the ground. The flavor is mild, slightly tangy, refreshing. Harvest by cutting stems and leaves, rinse thoroughly, and add to salads raw or cook like spinach. Purslane self-seeds prolifically. Let a few plants go to seed, and next year you'll have purslane appearing throughout your garden without replanting. This is a nutritional powerhouse that takes care of itself. Plant number 2, lamb's quarters. Also called wild spinach or goosefoot, lamb's quarters tastes better than cultivated spinach and grows faster with zero care. The young leaves are tender with a mild, pleasant flavor. Older leaves remain edible when cooked. Lamb's quarters is more nutritious than spinach, higher in protein, calcium, iron, and vitamins A and C. It grows rapidly, reaching 3 to 6 feet tall in poor soil without fertilizer or irrigation. Harvest young leaves throughout the growing season. The plant keeps producing without dying back. This is a forgotten perennial that requires almost no maintenance once established. Plant number 3, dandelion. Every part is edible. Young leaves for salads, older leaves cooked like greens, roots roasted as coffee substitute, flowers for wine or fritters. Dandelions are more nutritious than most vegetables sold in stores. The leaves contain more vitamin A than carrots, more calcium than milk, more iron than spinach. Dandelion roots are medicinal, supporting liver function and digestion. Harvest young leaves in early spring before flowers appear. They're tender and mildly bitter. Older leaves become more bitter but remain edible when cooked. The flowers are sweet and make excellent fritters. Dandelions grow everywhere without help, tolerating terrible soil, drought, and foot traffic. They self-seed through wind-dispersed seeds. You can't stop them from growing, which makes them perfect for lazy gardening. Plant number 4, Good King Henry. This perennial vegetable was the backbone of European peasant diets for 5 centuries. It produces asparagus-like shoots in spring and spinach-like leaves all summer. Good King Henry is perennial, planted once and it returns from roots for 10 to 20 years. The shoots in early spring taste like sweet asparagus. The leaves throughout summer taste like mild spinach. It tolerates poor soil and partial shade. Harvest shoots when they emerge in spring. Harvest leaves continuously throughout the growing season. The plant keeps producing without dying back. This is a forgotten perennial that requires almost no maintenance once established. Plant number 5, chickweed. This delicate ground cover grows in cool weather when most vegetables struggle. The leaves are tender with a mild, slightly sweet flavor perfect for salads. Chickweed is rich in vitamins and minerals. It grows rapidly, covering ground in weeks. Harvest by snipping the tops. Chickweed regrows quickly from the base. It self-seeds readily and comes back every year without replanting. Chickweed grows in spring and fall when temperatures are cool. It dies back in summer heat but returns when weather cools. This is a seasonal green that takes care of itself. Plant number 6, stinging nettle. Once cooked or dried, the sting disappears and you're left with one of the most nutritious greens available. Nettle contains more protein than most vegetables, plus iron, calcium, and vitamins. Harvest young nettle tops in spring wearing gloves. Steam or boil them. Cooking eliminates the sting. The flavor is similar to spinach but richer. Nettle also makes excellent tea. Dried nettle leaves steeped in hot water create a mineral-rich beverage. Nettle spreads through underground rhizomes and self-seeds. Once established, it returns every year and expands its territory. This is a perennial green that requires zero maintenance and provides continuous harvest. Plant number 7, Jerusalem artichoke. Also called sunchoke, this perennial produces edible tubers underground that taste like water chestnuts or artichokes. Plant 1 tuber and harvest 20 at season's end. Plant those 20 next year and harvest 400. The multiplication is exponential. Jerusalem artichokes grow 6 to 10 feet tall with sunflower-like blooms. They tolerate poor soil, drought, and neglect. Once established, they spread aggressively and become nearly impossible to eliminate. The tubers are crisp, slightly sweet, and versatile in cooking. Roast them, boil them, eat them raw in salads. They store well and provide calories through winter. This is a permanent food source that multiplies itself annually without any care. Plant number 9, orax. Also called mountain spinach, orax is a heat-tolerant green that produces when regular spinach bolts and becomes bitter. The leaves taste similar to mild spinach, but the plant grows 4 to 6 feet tall and tolerates hot weather. Orax comes in green, red, and golden varieties, all edible and beautiful. Harvest young leaves throughout summer. The plant keeps producing until frost. Orax self-seeds prolifically. Let it go to seed, and next spring you'll have new plants without replanting. It's a weed that feeds you. Wild mustard also functions as a cover crop that breaks up compacted soil and adds organic matter when tilled in. Even if you don't harvest it, it improves your garden. Plant number 10, miner's lettuce, also called claytonia. This small, delicate green has round, lily pad-like leaves. It grows wild in shady, moist areas and was eaten by California gold miners during the gold rush. Miner's lettuce is incredibly nutritious, packed with vitamin C and other vitamins. The flavor is mild, slightly tangy, refreshing. It grows in conditions where most vegetables fail, in shade, in poor soil, in cool weather. Scatter seeds in fall or early spring in a shady spot. Miner's lettuce germinates in cool weather and grows quickly. Harvest by snipping the tops when plants are lush. Miner's lettuce self-seeds readily. Once you plant it, it comes back every year without help. It's a self-sopping green that feeds you. Plant number 11, borage. A beautiful herb with blue star-shaped flowers and cucumber-flavored leaves. Borage is technically an herb, but the leaves and flowers are edible, making it productive for any garden. Borage self-sows aggressively. Planted once and it comes back every year in new spots around your garden. The young leaves taste like cucumber and are perfect for salads. The flowers are edible, beautiful, and attract bees and pollinators. Borage also improves soil. Its deep taproot mines nutrients from deep underground and brings them to the surface. When the plant dies back, those nutrients feed surrounding plants. Plant borage seeds in spring and let it do its thing. It tolerates poor soil, drought, and neglect. The flowers bloom all summer, providing continuous beauty and food for bees. This is a plant that works for you, not the other way around. Plant number 12, plantain. The weed with oval leaves and parallel veins that grows in every lawn. Plantain is edible and medicinal, used for centuries to treat cuts, stings, and skin irritations. Young plantain leaves are tender and can be added to salads or cooked like spinach. Older leaves are tough but still edible when cooked. The seeds are edible and nutritious, related to psyllium fiber supplement. Plantain grows everywhere without help. It tolerates compacted soil, foot traffic, and mowing. You can't kill it, which makes it perfect for lazy gardeners. Harvest young leaves in spring. If you get a bee sting or bug bite, crush a plantain leaf and apply it directly to the wound. The natural compounds in plantain reduce swelling and pain. This is a weed that feeds you and heals you, and it's growing in your yard right now. Plant number 13, wood sorrel. A small plant with heart-shaped leaves and bright lemony flavor. Wood sorrel grows in shady, moist areas and is often mistaken for clover. The leaves, flowers, and seed pods are all edible. The flavor is tart and refreshing, like lemon juice. Kids love eating wood sorrel straight from the garden. Wood sorrel self-sows and spreads on its own. Once you have it, it comes back every year without help. Harvest by snipping the tops and adding them to salads or steep them in water for a refreshing drink. This is a low-growing plant that thrives in shade where other vegetables struggle. It requires zero care and produces continuously. Plant number 14, amaranth. A towering plant that produces edible leaves and nutritious seeds. Amaranth grows 5 to 8 feet tall and thrives in heat, drought, and poor soil. It's practically indestructible. The young leaves taste like mild spinach and can be cooked or eaten fresh. The seeds are tiny but incredibly nutritious, packed with protein, iron, and calcium. Indigenous peoples across the Americas have grown amaranth for thousands of years. Amaranth self-sows readily. Plant it once and it comes back every year. It tolerates conditions that would kill most vegetables: extreme heat, dry soil, neglect. Harvest leaves throughout summer. In fall, cut the seed heads and collect the seeds. Cook the seeds like quinoa or grind them into flour. This is a survival crop that grows itself, perfect for gardeners who want maximum food with minimum effort. Plant number 15, wild fennel. A tall, feathery plant with licorice-like flavor. Every part is edible: the leaves, the seeds, the stems, even the roots. It grows like a weed in dry, poor soil. Fennel self-sows aggressively. Planted once and it spreads through your garden and beyond. The seeds are aromatic and used in cooking and baking. The leaves add flavor to salads and fish dishes. Fennel tolerates drought, heat, and neglect. It grows along roadsides in California, thriving without any water or care. In your garden, it's equally tough. Harvest seeds in late summer when they turn brown. Harvest leaves anytime. The plants keep producing year after year without replanting. This is a flavorful, useful plant that takes care of itself. Plant number 16, garlic mustard. An invasive plant in North America, but a valuable edible green. The leaves taste like a combination of garlic and mustard, and they're incredibly nutritious. Garlic mustard grows in shady, moist areas where other vegetables struggle. It's biennial, meaning it grows leaves the first year and flowers the second year. Both years, the leaves are edible. Harvest young leaves in spring. They're tender, flavorful, and perfect for pestos, salads, or sautéing. Older leaves become tougher but are still edible when cooked. Garlic mustard self-sows readily. Once you have it, it comes back every year. In fact, it spreads so aggressively that many regions consider it invasive, but for gardeners wanting low-maintenance food, that's an advantage. More food with zero effort. Plant number 17, clover. the nitrogen-fixing plant that grows in lawns everywhere. Both white clover and red clover are edible and incredibly useful in the garden. The flowers are sweet and can be eaten raw or dried for tea. The leaves are edible, though a bit tough when raw. They're better when lightly cooked. Clover also fixes nitrogen from the air and deposits it into the soil, feeding surrounding plants. Clover grows everywhere without help. It tolerates poor soil, drought, and foot traffic. Let it grow in your lawn and you'll have an edible, nitrogen-fixing ground cover that never needs replanting. Harvest flowers in summer when they're fully open. Dry them for tea, or use them fresh in salads. Clover tea is a traditional remedy for respiratory issues and inflammation. This is a weed that improves your soil while feeding you. That's lazy gardening at its finest. Plant number 18, wild violets. Small heart-leaved plants with purple or white flowers. Both the leaves and flowers are edible and incredibly nutritious. Violets are rich in vitamins A and C. The young leaves are tender and can be added to salads. The flowers are sweet, delicate, and beautiful on plates or candied for desserts. Violets spread on their own, forming dense mats in shady areas. They self-sow readily, and once you have them, they come back every year without help. Harvest young leaves in spring. Harvest flowers when they bloom. Violets produce continuously throughout the growing season with no care required. This is an edible ground cover that beautifies your garden while feeding you. Plant number 19, mallow. Also called cheeseweed, this low-growing plant has round, scalloped leaves and small pink or white flowers. Every part is edible. The young leaves are tender and mucilaginous, meaning they thicken soups and stews. The roots can be cooked like parsnips. The seeds, when green, look like tiny wheels of cheese, which is how the plant got its nickname. Mallow grows everywhere, in gardens, vacant lots, disturbed soil. It tolerates heat, drought, and poor soil. It self-sows readily, coming back year after year without help. Harvest young leaves and add them to salads or soups. The mucilaginous texture is soothing for digestive issues. Mallow has been used medicinally for thousands of years. This is a forgotten vegetable that grows itself and feeds you without any effort. Plant number 19, shepherd's purse. A small plant with heart-shaped seed pods. The young leaves are edible, tasting like mild cabbage with a peppery kick. Shepherd's purse grows in cool weather, thriving in early spring and late fall. It's a weed in most gardens, but it's also a nutritious green that's been eaten for centuries. Harvest young leaves before the plant flowers. Add them to salads, stir-fries, or soups. Shepherd's purse self-sows aggressively, so once you have it, it comes back every year. This is a zero-effort vegetable that grows in the cracks of your garden while you're busy doing other things. Here's how to use this knowledge practically. Create a designated weed garden in a corner of your property. Disturb the soil once, then let nature take over. Many of these forgotten vegetables will appear on their own. Harvest what you want, let the rest self-sow, and you'll have a self-renewing food source that requires almost no maintenance. Or simply stop weeding so aggressively. Learn to identify edible weeds. Harvest them instead of pulling them. You'll be amazed at how much free food you've been throwing away. The pattern is clear. Disturbance-loving plants are low-maintenance plants, and low-maintenance plants are perfect for productive gardening. These 20 forgotten vegetables, purslane, lamb's quarters, dandelion, good King Henry, chickweed, nettle, Jerusalem artichoke, orache, wild mustard, miner's lettuce, borage, plantain, wood sorrel, amaranth, fennel, garlic mustard, clover, violets, mallow, and shepherd's purse were all sidelined by industrial agriculture specifically because they're too independent, too vigorous, and too easy to grow for free. But for gardeners who want maximum food with minimum effort, they're absolute treasures. These vegetables don't need perfect soil. They don't need constant watering. They don't need fertilizer. They just grow, produce abundantly, and self-sow for next season. That's the power of working with nature instead of against it. Stop fighting the plants that want to grow in your garden. Start harvesting them. Learn to identify them. Appreciate their resilience. These are plants that survived for millennia without human intervention. They'll certainly survive in your garden with minimal help. The easiest food to grow is the food that grows itself. Stop viewing vigorous self-sowing plants as enemies to be eliminated. Start seeing them as allies providing free food with zero effort. If this breakdown from Heritage Garden Wisdom changed how you think about weeds, subscribe right now because we're exposing more forgotten food plants that outperform expensive hybrid varieties. Share this with gardeners who need to understand which weeds are actually productive vegetables. Drop a comment telling me which of these forgotten vegetables you're going to stop pulling out and start eating. I want to hear your stories. I'm Frank Miller, and this is Heritage Garden Wisdom, where we grow food smarter, not harder. Stop fighting your weeds, start harvesting them, and watch your garden become a self-maintaining food source. The forgotten vegetables are returning, and they're more valuable than anything you'll buy from a seed catalog.